If you're trying to pinpoint the exact moment when Kirby Smart started his dominance at Georgia, I think you have to go all the way back to early in the 2017 season. Of course, I'm talking about the Notre Dame game in South Bend. It was one of the biggest regular season games in Georgia football history. This was a game that was circled by everyone, and that was the moment Georgia went from a program that could turn into a national power to a program where you started to say, yep, this team can do it. This is where it starts to take off in the Kirby Smart era. And we're going to talk about that in today's video because it was such an important game. So much happened. And I do think that was the start of what we've seen over the last 6 years now, 7 years, I guess all the way to 2017. It feels like 8 years now, right? Now, you got to remember, Kirby Smart's first year, 2016, it wasn't great. They lost to Georgia Tech. They lost to Vanderbilt, Florida, losing on a Hail Mary to Tennessee. I mean, it was ugly, but halfway expected, right? But going into the 2017 season, you said, okay, this is the year Georgia should be really good, right? Nick Chubb decided he's coming back. Sony Michel is coming back. Year 2 of Jacob Eason, right? Sophomore season, hoping to take that big step for him. You've got a lot of experienced players on defense. Everyone thought it was going to be a really good year, and it was. However, game 1, I believe against App State or someone, Jacob Eason goes down, Jake Fromm comes in, and it's like, okay, here we go. Now we're going up to South Bend with Jake Fromm, freshman quarterback, trying to lead the way. But it was still a massive game. If you were there, you know what I'm talking about. I was there in the press box covering the game. We made the drive up. Didn't fly up. We drove up, went to the Cubs game the night before in Chicago. It was amazing. The whole trip was outstanding, and you know what I'm talking about if you made that trip as well. But I still say it was 50-50. There was so much red in that crowd. The Georgia fans were there. They were excited. They knew there was a chance for them to have a special season. They knew that the program was going in the right direction. But at that point, especially the year prior and in 2015 and even in 2014, 2013, Georgia was a team that was having trouble beating ranked teams. They were having trouble winning games at the end. They were blowing leads. They were losing games they shouldn't. And that Notre Dame game, it was a statement game because they won it at the end. It was a tough game against a good Notre Dame team. Not only did they win, but they won it at the end. They made plays when they needed to down the stretch in the fourth quarter to secure a tight victory. And we're going to go over that game more in detail, right? You had the Terry Godwin catch, one of the biggest catches in program history, but you also had the emergence of Roquan Smith. Roquan Smith was really good in 2016. He obviously was the best linebacker in college football, won the Butkus Award in 2017, but that was his true breakout game, if you want to call it. Again, he was good. He was really good the year before. This was a different level of Roquan Smith. He absolutely dominated Notre Dame in this game. That's where he said, I'm going to be the best linebacker in college football this year. The whole world was watching this game. Everyone was tuned in to Georgia Notre Dame. Everyone had this game circled, not only Georgia fans, Notre Dame fans, the whole college football world sat and watched that game. They were excited about it, and Roquan Smith just took off. Davin Bellamy, had a big game. Lorenzo Carter had a monster game. Defensively, they were outstanding. They won the game 20-19. Davin Bellamy at the end with the strip sack, fumble at the very end, secured it for the Dogs. Rodrigo Blankenship with the game-winning field goal, basically, with about 3 minutes left. But this was a tough, earned victory. I mean, Georgia had a lot of trouble picking up yards and sustaining drives. Son Michel had 73 yards, 1 touchdown. Nick Chubb had 63 yards. Not a great game for Mecole Hardman. Not a great game for Jake Fromm. He did have that touchdown pass that Terry Godwin basically made, leaping up, one-handed snag, getting the foot down. That was one of the best catches you'll ever see, and still probably a top 5 catch in Georgia football history. Because if they lose that game, who knows what happens? They end up losing to Auburn later in the season. They might not be in the playoffs, right? They'd still probably win an SEC championship, but 2 losses, you just don't know what happens. They needed to win that game looking back on it. And I remember walking out of that stadium at 3 in the morning because I was a late ball game thinking this team might have it. This team could go all the way if they keep getting better. And that's exactly what they did. They rattled off win after win after win. But that game, I think, reinforced to the fans, okay, things are going to be different. They're different now. They won that game that last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they would have found a way to lose. But because of the seniors coming back, because of the leadership, because of the coaching, and a lot of it, I think, was the fans in the crowd. It felt like a neutral game. The Georgia fans were crazy loud. They did the fourth quarter lights. I mean, it felt like a neutral game. And the players stepped up when they needed to. They won the game. And that gave them so much confidence going into the rest of the season. Of course, they had one of the best seasons they've ever had, right? They did lose the 2 games, but they went on to win an SEC championship, won one of the biggest and best Rose Bowls of all time, and they obviously lost in the national championship game in overtime. Still, it all started with that Notre Dame team. The fans completely bought in. They were waiting for that type of win, and a signature win for Kirby Smart, and that was it. Again, everyone had been waiting for this game for years, and it came down to the end, and they found a way to make enough plays to win the game. And that showed the fan base, and it showed that team, hey, the old dogs are dead, right? This is a new team. This is a new program. We are on the rise. And to win that game the way they did, you could tell it on the sidelines. And I was watching up from the press box, and, when the strip sack happened, the sideline erupted in a way I'm not sure I have seen. Kirby Smart gets excited, and I've seen him pumped up after a lot of big games. The emotion that he had and the staff had and the players had when they won that game, and they knew they were walking out of South Bend with a massive signature win and one that could elevate them and help them throughout the season, it was huge. It was, in a way, it was a monkey off their back, because that was a top 25 Notre Dame team, maybe even better. And it was huge for them, for the program, for everyone. And we've obviously seen what they've done for there. They went on to have a special season. They were really good in 18, weren't the best team in the country. They were pretty good in 19. They had some big wins, right? Played for an SEC championship. They weren't the best team in the country by far. 2020 was kind of a step down. 2020, in my opinion, just never happened. I give credit to Alabama. COVID season, you got half the stadium empty. That season definitely has an asterisk next to it. That Alabama team was phenomenal. I'm not trying to take anything away from that, but as a season, as a whole, that one didn't mean as much, right? And it was just different, right? Everyone knows that. So 2020 happened. They lost 2 games, whatever. It's in the past. They won it in 21, won it in 22, and they are going to be in contention for national championships every single year. They're not going to win one every single year, but going into every single season, Georgia's going to be a team where it says, okay, what teams can win the title this year heading into the season? Georgia's always going to be in that group because of Kirby Smart. And I think it all started with that Notre Dame win. And I still give a ton of credit to the fans. Even after that game, I'm going to do the work that we do post-game. I go get cameras, I'm pumping out stories, and you could just hear the UGA chants going on all across the stadium. The Georgia fans didn't want to leave, and I saw plenty of empty, bottles of adult beverages in the Georgia section. They weren't the Catholics drinking all that. It was the Georgia fans from Athens who showed up and basically had a party in the stands throughout the game and after the game, and they didn't want to leave. And you could see it in the fan base. That win meant so much because, again, deep down, I think everyone knew, okay, this could be the start of something special. This could be a special team, especially with the seniors coming back. And this team and that win is one that could really take us off. And it did. Georgia has not been the same. Before that game and after that game, you could say that was the defining moment. That was the defining win. You could have a pre-Georgia Notre Dame win and then a post-Georgia Notre Dame win. 2 completely different programs. And I still think it started in South Bend that night when the whole world was watching. The Dawg stepped up. Terry Godwin stepped up. Sony Michel stepped up. Jake Fromm stepped up to a certain extent. He turned the ball over several times. He didn't play winning football, but Roquan Smith sure did. Davin Bellamy sure did. Lorenzo Carter sure did. And a lot of other Georgia Bulldog defenders who came to play. Richard LeCount had a big pass breakup late in that game. He was a freshman, I believe. No, he may have been a sophomore. No, he was a freshman. He was part of that 2017 class. Game number 2 for Richard LeCount. coming in and making a big play like that towards the end of the game. Rodrigo Blankenship came to play. He earned a scholarship after that game in the locker room. Place went nuts. That win meant so much, and I think that was the signature win that kicked off Kirby Smart's dominance that we've seen over the past 8 years. They are an elite program, and it started with 2017, that team, and it started with that win against Notre Dame. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, but I think that was the turning point of the Georgia program from what it was to where it is now. You can go back and say it started against Notre Dame in South Bend with that massive 20-19 win over the Irish. And, who knows where Georgia goes now? I think they're going to be, playing for national championships probably sooner than later. I think Kirby's got another 1, 2, possibly 3 in him, depending on how long he's around. But for the foreseeable future, you can go back to this game and say that's where it all changed for the Georgia Bulldogs and the Kirby Smart era. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you were in the stands in that game, if you were in Wrigley Field the night before. Let me know what your what you went through as I wrap up this video. I have nothing else to really go. I'm starting to ramble now. I don't mean to, but if you were there in the stands, let me know in the comments section and let me know your experience. That's what I was trying to say. What was your experience up in South Bend that day? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you over on dawgpost.com.